Today we'll be going over DNA. What is DNA? Last week we covered what is DNA in. So this week we're going to be learning what is DNA, what does DNA do, and what is natural selection, and how can certain traits be better adapted in different environments. We're going to do our pre-test to see what you guys know right now about what is evolutionary neurogenetics.
I drew the brain into coloring it with different colors with the three main parts, which the yellow part is the cerebrum, right?
Oh.
And then this blue part here is and there's the cerebellum. The blue part here is right here is the cerebellum, and the brown part here is like the brainstem, which
And what
are
is the
divided into the three main parts. That the brain is a organ that controls memory, vision, breathing, touch, hunger, emotion, and temperature. And it's also called and all of that is like the central nervous system, which is called the CNS.
So what I drew is what we call the evolutionary neurogenetics. So what I think it is that it means the study of genetics and like how you behave every day. And I also think that DNA and the nervous system is also included. And I drew a picture. So right here, I drew a picture of DNA. Right here, I drew a picture of genetics. So the mom has curly hair, and her daughter also got curly hair from the mom. I also drew behavior right here, and I also drew the nervous system for the brain.
Fantastic.
I drew a saliva and brain and hair and blood and fingerprint.
They all are examples of DNA, and our DNA is in all of that. That is fantastic.
Although I didn't draw much, it still doesn't represent what I have in my mind. So basically, I drew evolution, the evolution of humans, because evolutionary, as you can see in the word, it has evolution in it. So I drew that and genetic thing. Genetic is like something passed on or to carry on. And neuro is like the study of the brain.
DNA is inside all of these cells, and as the video mentioned, it follows this kind of helix shape. And in this ladder, we have specific bases of those letters that they showed of A, T, C, G. So these certain letters only pair with each other. So if we were to zoom in into that DNA helix, we see that A only binds to T and G only binds to C. So you're not going to see C and A bind or C and T bind or G and A or G and T. It's only AT and GC.
Since every living organism has cells, DNA is like in every living organism.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And that
Like plants also have DNA.
great question. Yes, plants have DNA, animals have DNA. If anyone has pets, your pets have DNA, and every living thing has DNA. So on that note, we're going to go into what is a gene. So genes are portions of our DNA. So the DNA is the instructions of what makes us us, but these genes are portions of DNA that contain information on a certain trait. So, for example, some genes control eye color, some genes control skin color. It all controls different characteristics of us, of what makes us us.
Hair color?
Exactly. That's the first one. Hair color is one of the traits that genes can control. Haley?
How big you are?
Yes. Height. Great point. Jasleen, what do you think?
Hair type.
Hair type. Yes.
Your skin color.
Exactly. Perfect, guys. You nailed it. So now that we've kind of talked about genes and what are these traits, we're going to learn what is natural selection. So natural selection is called the survival of the fittest. So in this photo, we can see the evolution of how humans are related to our great apes. So we have orangutan here, chimpanzee, gorilla, and man. So we're all related because we all belong to the same, we're all different species, but we all are related through the same genus, if I'm not mistaken. And natural selection is making sure that the traits that make us the best fit for our environment continue. So these are traits that help us in our environment. And we can see this in a lot of different animals, actually. Which giraffe can eat the leaves? Raise your hand.
The tallest.
Exactly. In pictures, which color mice won't get eaten by the bird? So we have black mice and tan mice. I saw Sophia's hand first. Sophia?
My opinion, the black one because it blends in with the color.
Correct. So the black mice are going to be able to live longer than the tan mice because the tan mice stick out. So in this situation, the black mice are going to have better survival. So this is a better trait for them, for the mice to have. This kind of shows us that some people with different traits might be better adapted for different environments. And we're going to do a little activity to test that out. What to do right now is you're going to create a critter. It's just a little guy. So actually, I made one earlier. This is my critter. And I was able to poke and stick the googly eyes through the pipe cleaner, but just make any sort of critter. So it can be any sort of animal thing. It can have multiple eyes. It could have one eye. It could have 0 eyes. You can use as many of the materials we gave you as possible.
Hey, rabbit. His name is Freddy.
This is like critter. And I named it Lily.
So what we're going to do is a scenario game where we've now learned, about how different environments could be better fitted. So we're going to test your critters that you've made to see which environment might fit them the best. So first environment is the woods. So you get 1 point if your critter has either brown or green on them. You get 1 point now if your critter has big eyes. You get 1 point if your critter has 2 or more pom-poms, so it can survive the winter. Last criteria, or last environment, can your critter climb? You get 1 point if your critter has 3 or more pipe cleaners. Why do you think your critter would do good or bad in the hot?
I don't, because it has like a lot of pom-poms, so maybe not.
That's a great answer for this game. Because we got a point if you had a lot of pom-poms or 2 or more pom-poms in the cold, that means that your critter would do not good in the hot because you got points for pom-poms in the cold. But if you had 1 pom-pom or 0 pom-poms on your critter, you wouldn't do good in the cold, but you would do good in the hot. So this is an example of how some traits can be better in certain environments compared to others.
Is all about evolutionary neurogenetics, and we're lucky enough to have our guest lecturer here today, and it happens to be our everyday teacher, Miss Anamika. She's a PhD student here at USC. She is a research scientist, so her focus is finding out new information that we don't know yet and figuring out all about the brain. And she studies evolutionary biology. So she's going to talk a little bit more about her research specifically.
On Monday, we talked a lot about natural selection and more about genetics. What does that mean? And understanding that some traits might be better adapted for certain environments. So today, I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about the human brain and the connection there. So I research a specific protein called BDNF, and that stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It is produced up in our brain, and if we look at this little zoomed in picture here, if we zoom in a lot, we can see that we have blood vessels that run all throughout our brain. And this protein is produced in our brain, but it can enter our bloodstream. So if you go to the doctor, has anyone ever gone to the doctors and had blood samples taken? I see a few hands. That is a way that we can find out how much BDNF people have, is by taking those exact same blood measurements, and then we do some tests with them, and we can figure out exactly what the concentration, so what the number is of how much of this protein do you have in your blood. And that's because it travels from your brain all throughout your body. Now, BDNF influences a bunch of different factors. It influences our brain volume, so specifically our hippocampus. Do we know what that means?
I think it's the part where it keeps all your memories.
Exactly. Excellent. Yes. So in the hippocampus, that is a specific region of our brain that helps with our memory. So another thing that and we can find a lot of this protein in that section of our brain. So the way we are able to do brain tests and memory tests, if anyone's ever done one of those corn mazes, being able to get out of mazes is another type of brain test. And with this protein, that can help us improve our test scores. It can help improve our memory. If we keep forgetting things, this protein can help us remember things better, and it can even make us feel better. It can help improve our mood. So if we're feeling sad versus happy, this specific protein can help us with that. Now, does anyone have any ideas how we might be able to increase this protein?
Eating healthy, eating vegetables, and eating healthy stuff, eating fruits and vegetables, being healthy, train, and eat very good.
What we eat definitely can help us increase BDNF, especially eating healthy. Allison, what do you think?
Exercise, because like if you're like exercising, you're like using your brain to signal your muscles.
Nailed it. Exactly. So the first one is physical activity, and even just walking specifically can be physical activity. And as Haley mentioned, diet matters. So I would eat mostly those healthy fats and protein, but not much carbs. That is one of the other ways that we can increase BDNF. Does anyone know what Alzheimer's disease is? Has a disease where we're not able to think very well and we start to lose parts of our memory, we start to lose parts of our brain health, and it's more difficult to think, to do different tasks. And if you were to eat healthy and if you were to follow this little pyramid of eating, it can actually help you with your memory and your cognition. So going back to Monday, when we were talking about DNA and different mutations, there is a specific mutation for this protein. So you could either have 0 copies of the mutation, which means you would be Val. You could have 1 copy of this mutation, which would mean that you are Val-Met, or you could have 2 copies of this mutation. So within the DNA helix photo that you see here, that would be maybe one of these strands, like one of that step of that ladder could be a mutation. And you could either have 2 copies, 1 copy, or 0 copies. And if you do have this mutation, you don't produce as much BDNF. So one might think that having this mutation isn't a good thing. And looking at this world map, we can see that in different areas of the world, more people have this mutation. Is that sometimes some traits are better fit for different environments and different areas within the world. And that's something I'm studying right now, where this mutation might be good in certain populations, and I'm trying to figure out if that's true and why this mutation might be better in different environments. So the people that have this mutation, maybe there's something good for them about having that versus people who don't. Sloths are sedentary. They don't really work out much. They don't even walk too much. Now, a bear, do we think that a bear kind of works out? It's sometimes walk. Yep. A little bit, exactly. So we would call that moderate physical activity. So the bear kind of works out. It kind of moves around. It kind of plays. The cheetah specifically runs and is one of the fastest land animals. So we would call that vigorous physical activity because the cheetah is running and working out a lot.
I think that the bear's brain would have more BDNF blots when it's hibernating or when it's hunting.
When it's hunting.
Exactly. Because when it's hibernating, it's basically doing the exact same thing as a sloth. Nothing.
Exactly. And Mr. Caleb's question is exactly what we're going to be investigating here, is that based off of these exercise patterns. So we know the exercise patterns of all of these animals. How many BDNF dots do we think we would find in the brain?
I think for the bear, there would be like not too many dots or not too little, like in the middle. because like the bear like it's more like faster than a sloth and like it could think better.
And can someone tell me about the cheetah?
Like it has a lot of dots because it's really fast, and then it's mostly known for like its speed and its hunting, which is really good because like they don't hibernate, which means like they're like hunting and running almost 24/7.
Those are all really great hypotheses. So now, based off of what brain scan you got for your animal, let's find out. So, if you remove the paper from your pen, you're going to be able to turn the pen on, and it's called a black light. And then if you hold it up to your brain scan, you'll be able to find dots. So I want everyone to take some time to count how many dots they're able to find. And you want to look all over the brain scan.
I just wanted to say that I found only 4.
Which sticker did you get?
The sloth.
Jasleen, what about you?
43.
And which one did you get?
The cheetah,
The cheetah. So there's 43 for the cheetah. Camila, how many did you find and what did you get? Giovanna, what about you? 10, and which one did you get?
The bear.
Bear. And that makes sense based off of how much we know each animal exercises. Wasn't exercise. What else could explain if someone's brain had a lot of BDNF in it? Does anyone have any ideas? Allison?
Because like they either eat healthy or like read a lot of books.
Mutation.
Good job. Yes, exactly. So this mutation is called the Val66 MET mutation. So if you have this mutation, you don't produce as much BDNF as someone who doesn't have this. So those are all different ways.
You could do puzzles, read, and you could even play games outside or inside.
Brain is like kind of like a muscle, anything like all of the other muscles in the body. And like, for instance, to get your arm muscles strong, you have to go to the gym and to lift weights and practice to get them to your arms to be stronger. And the brain is the same way. You have to practice using your brain in order to get smarter and to build your brain health. So
I'm going to answer the question of what is evolutionary neurogenetics.